a situation where you find that a person look at the same.
Not necessarily tribal or regional.
But I have said that.
All right, welcome back and thanks for staying with us. It's still Daybreak on Trust TV. It's now time for us to review the papers this morning. Now we'll begin with Daily Trust newspaper, and the lead story here says, despite CBN's directive, bank ATMs still dispensing old Naira notes. We also have riders that says Apex Bank insists on January 31st deadline. Emefiele briefs Buhari on progress. Sultan urges extension and herders reject new notes for fear of counterfeits. You can actually find details of that story on page 4. At the top of the page there, we have Kano Sharia judges, registrars remanded over 500 million naira fraud. We also have police release 13.6 billion naira to 6,184 killed, injured officers, families. Details of that can be found on page 13. Now, diphtheria outbreak kills 25 in Kano. Moving on to more stories, just beside the pictorial there, federal government revokes 3,402 mining titles, nets 14.59 billion naira in 5 years. I sell stolen cars to officers, says naval rating. And we also have police for IPOB's attack on Imo Station kills 3 militants. If you want to read up more on that story, grab a copy of Daily Trust newspaper today and turn to page 10. We also have, I'll restructure Nigeria, industrialize Southwest, says Atiku. Competence will thrive above religion, ethnicity, says Obi. And how I will tackle insecurity, improve economy. This is attributed to Tinubu. And these are some of the stories on Daily Trust newspaper this morning.
Moving on to the Nigerian News Direct. FG earns 14.59 billion from mining licenses in 4 years, as Nigeria Mining Cadastre Office revokes 3,402 titles. You have there the picture of the Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, flanked by the Managing Directors of Lagos State Waste Management Authority, and Mr. Ibrahim Odumbani, and APC Lagos Chairman, Honorable Cornelius Ojelabi, and the Deputy Governor, Dr. Babafemi Hamzat, during the endorsement rally for the APC presidential candidate Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and re-election of Governor Sanwo-Olu by Association of Waste Managers of Nigeria. And two other stories there on the front page. Abiodun Sanwo-Olu Elumelu Awoye joined 12 others to celebrate Nigeria's new direct 12th anniversary as Oshoba Oyetola Omishere bags Hero of Democracy Award. These are the major stories on the front page of the Nigerian News Direct.
All right, up next is the Nation newspaper, and from the top of the page there, why petrol is scarce by major marketers, says depot price hits 240. We also have Finance Minister, economy on rebound, says 3.5% growth projected. Lagos declares four work-free days for PVC collection. Details on page 26 of the Nation. CBN threatens sanctions for banks over new notes. Now, just below the nameplates there, we have NJC decries state's failure to pay judges' retirement benefits, others. Nigerians should expect life-defining infrastructure, says Tinubu. And the big story on the Nation today says Makinde, IU's deputy, shun Atiku's rally in Ibadan. And writers here say why G5 governors won't join presidential campaign by autumn, and ex-vice president promises to make Southwest industrial hub. On the footnotes there, explosion rocks APC rally in Port Harcourt, and diphtheria kills 25 in Kano. And these are some of the stories on the Nation newspaper.
Moving on to Blueprint newspaper this morning. At Ibadan rally, IU says no individual can control the PDP. Makinde absent, Otom says party approach won't pacify G5 governors. Olubadan urged truce, seek role for monarch. I won't descend to the level of personal attack, Atiku. Tinubu's son, group, take campaign to Mieti Allah. You'll find all of those stories if you turn to page 6. And there you find pictures on the front page of Kano State Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje presenting the appointment letters of the committee members to the Chairman Organizing Committee National Conference on Livestock Reform and Mitigation of the Associated Conflicts in Nigeria, Professor Tairu Jega, during the inauguration of the committee in Abuja on Thursday. And you have there also the picture of President Muhammadu Buhari, who received the Central Bank of Nigeria's Governor Godwin Emefiele at the State House in Abuja Thursday, while the Chief of Staff to the President, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, and Borno State Governor, Professor Babagana Zulu, watches. And two other stories there on the front page. Headers, Farmers Crisis, Ganduje appoints Jega orders on reforms conference. Says Ruga settlement policy misconceived. Seek collaboration with Chad Basin and other border communities. And two other stories. CBN urges bank to collect redesigned Naira notes. Insists January 31st deadline is sacrosanct. Terrorists adopt 4 Zamfara Health College students, demand ransom. Coalition seek law to criminalize sex bias. And road crashes claimed 324 in Kogi, 706 injured in 2022. $1.9 billion invested in climate-related activities, Minister. And $2 billion fraud. Court fixes April 5th for judgment on Rasa's trial. These are the major stories on the front page of Blueprint newspaper.
All right, next is the Punch newspaper. Lead story here says, a rise in petrol price hits 300 naira per litre. Riders here says 1,000 fuel tankers stuck at depots. Queues lengthen in Abuja, Lagos, others. Gridlock, Lagos limits filling stations to 7 hours per day sale. And we have at the top of the page there, Atiku under fire for no votes, no contracts remarks. 2023, UK, EU, Australia issue security alerts. Federal government revokes 3,402 mining titles. And just beside the nameplate there, explosion rocks South-South PDP APC rallies. There's a pictorial there of slain NSCDC officers' families getting automatic employment. Federal government probes 25 deaths from throat ailment. UN issues new COVID-19 rules for air travel, and core members need special life insurance for elections, says Rep. These are some of the stories on the Punch.
And to the Nigerian Tribune, we have the major stories there. Ibadan rally for Atiku may be way forward for G5. National Assembly candidates in attendance. Makinde received praises for support. Mobilization party leaders campaign for him. Ladoja Adeojo acknowledged for roles played. APC has failed to implement all it committed to do since 2015. This is coming from Atiku. And no single person group can control the PDP. It's a people's party. Atiku only prepared presidential candidate Tambuwal, and Atiku Otoa Campaign Council hails Oyo rally unity. Of course, you'll find there also the pictures from the venue. 3 injured as explosion rock APC rally in Port Harcourt. And court remands Syria judges 12 others for alleged 500 million theft. And fuel scarcity, private depots sell petrol to independent marketers at 250 naira per litre, according to Ipman chairman. And NJC condemned non-payment of state judges' gratuity. And still on the old naira note, CBN insists on January 31st deadline. These are the major stories on the front page of Tribune newspaper.
All right, up next is Leadership Friday. And the lead story here talks about the 2023 presidency. Northern elders in dilemma over choice of candidate. Says we're still weighing the options. Baba Ahmed. Vote, character, competence, not religion, ethnicity, Sultan tells Nigerians. at the top of the page there. Tinubu Mall's construction industry bank vows to combat insecurity from all angles. And we have NNPCL now sells petrol at 194 naira per liter as scarcity bites harder. We also have more stories. After DSS arrests drama, welcome back, Mr. Governor, PMB tells Emefiele. I won't tolerate incompetent bad leaders, Obi vows on page 6. Explosion, heavy shooting more APC PDP rallies in Rivers and Edo. Leadership Award, NCDMB owes success to teamwork resilience, says Wabote. And on insecurity, Atiku promises to engage traditional rulers. These are some of the stories on Leadership Friday.
And finally, we will be looking at First News newspaper with the major headline, exclusive, DSS unearthed fresh allegations against Emefiele, submits report to Buhari. After quizzing 27 bank MDs, CBN deputy governors, external auditors, and finance minister, secret police now investigating Apex Bank's boss over 12 more allegations. Probe CBN governor, finance minister over undeclared $3.7 billion COVID-19 palliative fund from IMF, forest allocation 6/2017. Alleges Apex Bank running separate foreign reserve account without FG's knowledge, and claims CBN operating 527 other private accounts governments not aware of. Quite a number of allegations there against the Apex Bank Caesar. And to other stories on the front page, Kanu needed for elections to hold in the southeast. Soludo, governor of Anambra State. And to other stories on the front page, allegations against Atiku too weighty to be ignored. Ex-Rep Oladile. Insecurity may threaten 2023 elections, EU warns. And reject old Naira notes from banks, CBN tells Nigerians. And supporters injured as explosion rock Rivers APC rally.
All right, with that, we're done reeling out stories from major dailies, and we would move on to an analysis of some of these stories. And we have our guest in the studio with us this morning. We have Nuruddin Abdullah, editor, 21st Century Chronicles. Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us. All right, so let's begin with the Daily Trust newspaper, the lead story talking about despite CBN's directive, bank ATMs still dispensing old Naira notes. There's been so many complaints from especially POS operators saying, they go in and they deposit old Naira notes only to come out to the ATMs and get these same old Naira notes. And 31st of January is still the deadline. The CBN is saying it's still sacrosanct. So how do they expect to get or mop up all the old Naira notes before then?
So I don't know the wisdom behind the CBN actions, but I think yesterday was the first day that I touched after closing from work. I branched in one of the commercial banks, and coincidentally, I saw the 500 Naira note. I think the new one.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So I don't know, we still have 10 more days. And if what CBN is saying is the truth, you reported yesterday that banks, commercial banks are rejecting, no, not rejecting rather, they have refused to come to the CBN and collect the new Naira note. So I don't know, that is treasonable because CBN and commercial banks, almost on daily basis, you see the bullion vans moving around almost. So to say that the commercial banks are, so maybe we still have 10 more days and the likelihood of extension is still there. CBN is good at doing that. So I think there won't be much cause for alarm because if the old banknotes are still with the people, and there is a lackluster attitude of the commercial banks to issue maybe with what happened, what the CBN said yesterday, and myriad of complaints across the country, maybe from this weekend, maybe the ATM will start dispensing like the machine I used yesterday near my office did.
I hope the machine didn't recognize that you're a VIP. And give you a VIP
Or a journalist, rather.
I give you a VIP treatment. Yeah, moving away from the central bank, it's the story of the police releasing about 13.6 billion to about 6,186 families of slain police officers. And all. I mean, it's not the first time, but what would you say about this? I think it came about the same time the families of the NSCDC, slain NSCDC officers were also offered automatic employment. Is this the way to go? Should we see better of this? Should we always rely on this? Or perhaps a comprehensive life insurance would have made more sense, probably had given them this money long ago and find a way of getting the family to continue their life after losing their breadwinners.
Yeah, it's a good development. You understand? At least we don't, this time around here, the police, the families of the slain officers coming to Abuja to demonstrate, as it used to be. So whatever it is, when you divide 13 billion by 6,184, we talk about life insurance. The money is not much. Because they're sharing this 13 billion by 6,000 families of the slain officers. So it's a good development. I saw the Commandant General of the Civil Defense equally giving automatic employment to some family members of the slain officers. It will motivate our officers. But like you rightly said, what we need is comprehensive health insurance. And is there any public servant in Nigeria that have that complete package, health insurance? And I don't think so. So maybe it's the way forward. It's the way forward, So the officers can be gallant, when robbery is taking place. The police won't tell you that they don't have their share of gas, or they didn't receive intel to confront them, and what have you. Because if they go in the service of the country, their family won't be thrown out of the barracks. They won't be on the street. Their children won't be roaming about. Their health, education, and what have you. So nobody will think twice before serving the country gallantly and even dying doing so.
All right, so let's go back to something that affects us all, talking about the fuel situation in Nigeria. In Lagos, they're saying fueling stations are actually selling for 300 naira per litre. And then we have on The Guardian the lead story talking about petrol price being adjusted to 185 naira per litre to appease marketers. And on Leadership Friday, the NNPCL selling petrol at 194 naira as scarcity bites harder. Let's have your thoughts on this.
So, like we mentioned, we have been mentioning it severally. The reality is this. This what is the official price? Because it has been long.
185.
185. So in Kaduna, for instance, it's 305 up to 315. For a very long time, there are fewer number of filling stations dispensing at the official price, but you need a minimum of 12 hours, to be on the queue to get it. You can spend those hours, and they will tell you that the gas has finished. So we're used to the old. So the reality is this: this subsidy has to go. When you are doing, you remember when Buhari did that, when you deregulate fully. You don't put a cap. With the Forex crisis, if Mr. Sunday is a marketer, he doesn't get Forex at the official rate from the central bank. He has to get Forex at 740 to import this fuel. And you're expecting me to sell in Gusau, Yobe, Maiduguri or Kano or Sokoto. You understand? At the same price. It's impossible. It's economics, nothing else. Remove subsidy. Allow market forces to determine the prices. There will be hue and cry. Normal. But you can see even the government is adjusting. So the reality is, but thankfully they say by April, the subsidy will go, right?
Yeah, by half year. By what time they would have signed off by May 29th? The subsidy will go, well, in the technical sense, because they will not be there to defend its continuous existence.
I know, the most important thing is the elections. The new president is already having match, yeah.
Very important story coming out from Kano yesterday was Ganduje appointing Jega and others on Reformed Conference on Headers Farmers Crisis, and saying that the Ruga settlement policy was misconceived and seeks collaboration of the Chad Basin and other communities, as reported by the Blueprint and other papers. Is this something Ganduje should be doing or the federal government, considering how sensitive this issue has been over the years and the number of lives that have been lost, and in fact, the number of states that are impacted? This is a thing of concern from Sokoto to Ibadan down to Cross River, all the routes where these people go to look for greener pasture. Should we be seeing more states collaborating to empower this committee, or is something the federal government should just adopt?
I think my understanding of the thing is the federal government has a role to play, but the key role should be by the northern state governments. When this Ruga controversy, erupted, and remember Autumn and some other, I think it should be a northern something policy. What Ganduje is doing now is, can I say, belated, because it's something that should have been done years ago, and they could have even got funding from international donors. You remember Netherlands sent some millions of dollars for that Ruga policy, and the state are even assessing the money so far. So, for instance, if, Ganduje do that, Niger State Governor, Zalia, they have the land, the weather is conducive, Kaduna can as well do it. Nasarawa can as well do it. When you do this, look at what is the population of the herders? They can be accommodated in these states. This issue of going to south, this issue of Fulani herders doing every crime committed now down south, or along the Benue Valley, is herders, Fulani. All this stereotyping, all this ethnic profiling would have been avoided. Never let, maybe, but it's something they should have done long ago, particularly the Northern Governors Forum. And it's something that can even give them money.
Absolutely.
So you should avoid so many things. The white people did it, even during the colonial days. Go to Kaduna, we have the Laduga Reserve. It has been thoroughly encroached. All the services provided by the colonialists, abandoned, destroyed. The reserves have been taken over. Even roads have been encroached. So I wonder, when people from Benue, for instance, are saying that an average Fulani man from Kano, Sokoto, or Otepi should ranch like the white people are doing in the United States. Yeah, even farms are fenced. Why can't you fence your farm? Yeah. All this, I was in the US. Farms are fenced, and roads are constructed. They'll show you private property and what have you. So when you say the poor Fulani man should ranch his cattle, for instance, you should equally, you are asking him to use a modern multi-million naira technology while you are still hoeing and cutlassing your farm, leaving it fallow, for instance. But if, for instance, the northern governors are serious, they should have tackled these things. I even get from it. But maybe what can do is, I hope it will end up like one those serious people are there, maybe Tea Party, the report will be submitted to him and he will dump it for his successor, and that's it. I hope it will end up like that.
All right, now let's move on to, a health scare, talking about diphtheria outbreak, so far killing 25 people in Kano. A lot seems to be coming out of Kano today. First it was COVID, and, there's actually scare of the new wave of COVID coming into the country, and now there's diphtheria outbreak, in Kano State. What can government do to, stop this particular disease from becoming an epidemic?
I think was it the Commissioner of Health was saying that, one, there is vaccine for it, and people need to be sensitized on how to tackle it. But unfortunately, our people are good in reeling our figures, because more than 600 were infected. I think preemptive measures, the state government need to be proactive. We don't want this casualty statistics, 25 are killed. Then what else? What have you done to put in place? So maybe, I think, particularly in situations like this, we have to reverse back and adopt the old ways we're doing things. We are growing up, if you go to the villages without even mobile phones, there is this, what I can call maybe Noah-like sensitization policy. People need to be sensitized on how to prevent this and what have you, not for the government officials to be telling us, okay, so number are infected, so number are, and more importantly, since the end of COVID, state governments have put a sort of a machinery. They have replicated like the NCDC, but with the end of COVID, everything has been abandoned. So when one disease comes out, we are even lucky that they even know the disease, even though they will say strange, and Nigerian newspapers will be publishing it. Strange element kills.
I mean, when you don't know, it is strange anyways. Moving on to politics before we let you go. Atiku was in Ibadan yesterday. Obi was in Mina. Tinubu had a town hall. A different town hall in Abuja yesterday, and we saw the words coming out from Ibadan yesterday. Are you saying no individual can control the PDP? And Makinde was absent. Otom says party approach won't pacify G5 governor. Olubadan urges truths, seek rules for monarchs, and I won't descend to the level of personal attack that is coming from Atiku. What do you make of the rallies that took place yesterday?
Yeah, we have less than just about 30 days to the general election, so it is expected, People have to be touching all the states, to engage, and maybe at the same time, while Tinubu was doing the town hall, his running mate is in the northwest, Sokoto, Kebbi, and whatever, conversing with the traditional.
Same as the governor in Lagos on his behalf.
Exactly, yeah. So I think it's something that is expected from this front line politicians. And maybe what even Atiku said that was even interesting, and it sends tongue wagging, sir. Deliver your words.
Get contracts.
Get contracts on appointment. That is how it should be. We don't want the Buhari system. Like in local parlance, they say monkey the walk, baboon the chop. That's it. People that suffered, that work for the man.
He's supposed to be president for all. I don't have to believe in him to benefit from.
No, he's talking about the party people.
People, okay.
It's a reality. You don't do what Buhari did. People that worked for him, there are party men that worked for him. But at the end of the day, when it came to appointment, strangers, we are invited. and they were giving key appointments. He's a politician, and the politician will be happy with this. There is nothing wrong in we don't see you during cultivation of the land, but during harvest, you put your agbada and you come. The politicians will like what he's doing, and in politics, that's how it should be. That's the reality. That is what Tinubu is doing. People that work for him, people that meet him at the trenches, will be the people during the victory. They will celebrate the podium with him. So we hope, the only thing is that we hope that...
Just quickly before we wrap up, the lead story on Leadership Friday talks about Northern elders in dilemma over choice of candidates. Can you comment on that?
You see, this Northern elders, Southern elders thing, it's more really fictitious. What are Northern elders? You know, over the years, you know, there is this, some people have created that kind of military, maybe post-civil war, you know, but no any Northern elder can dictate to the people who to vote or who not to vote.
Are you discountenancing the fact that they've got some influence to this?
Where is the influence? People that cannot deliver their polling units. It's just a newspaper thing. You understand? Look, pick them one after the other. They are retired civil servants, or they are retired politicians who could not control anything, who have lost access to the levels of power because of their attitude while in office. So now they are back into their city rooms and what have you, and now they will be calling all manner of newspapers and they will be getting the headlines. That's it.
Interesting.
It's like talking about Ohaneze. They're talking about the ACF. Retired public servants, retired politicians who have lost relevance. Ohaneze, can they control IPOP? They can't. So it's the same thing with the Northern elders, Middle Belt, whatever, Northeast, whatever, what have you.
Interesting perspective there from Nuruddin Abdullah. He calls them retired, but they are probably not tired. That's the much we can bring to you from the newspaper front pages this morning. And it's been a delight having Nuruddin Abdullah, the editor of 21st Century Chronicle, gives us this beautiful, lexically beautiful and literally natinated paintings of what has happened in Nigeria in the last 24 hours. We would meet you at the top of the hour with more programming. We want to thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
And we hope to see you again. This time I'm sure you have plenty of the new Naira notes in your pocket. And on recognizing you, they will give you fuel at the filling station. So we'll have better stories to tell when next we meet. Once again, thank you.
My pleasure.
We'll see you at the top of the hour. Please stay with us.
When a situation where you find that a particular